How do you do? It's Mr. Moo, and this is a devlog for my game Stolen Hearts. This week, I worked on a number of things as I tend to do. The first thing I did was drag my timer and my heart tracking system at the top, and I put that on the canvas rather than just it being in the scene, which is where it belongs in the first place, on the canvas. But I finally dragged it onto the scene. It was a lot bigger, it was a lot better, because obviously the players need to see the timer no matter what the camera is showing. And I kind of ran with it this week, and I said, alright, I guess I'm working on the timer. I changed the font for the numbers of my timer and added a cool color changing effect to it. So each round the timer would start as green, and then eventually be going down to 0, which would be completely red. So it gets a little yellow in the middle, gets a deeper and darker red as it goes, and so that was a really nice effect, I thought. When your character is destroyed by something in the environment, so let's say this lava here, one, I changed the animation, so now it kind of explodes out all the way to the end of the screen with a particle system. And I also added a little animation at the top of the screen to make sure that the user knows that they lose time every time that the good knight here is killed. I give this little squash and stretch animation to really emphasize that there is a change in the clock rather than someone looking down, losing a life, and then looking back at the clock and all this time was lost and they don't know why. As you can see, I also added a little pop and wiggle animation in the final 10 seconds of the countdown, and actually Pop and Wiggle is the same name of the new dance move I'm coming out with, so stay tuned for that. I added this heart radar so that the character knows exactly where it's going. It always will point at the heart no matter where you are on the board. It may not always be a direct route, but this way they know in general where they're headed. So I thought this really solved the problem that I had of users not knowing where the heart was as soon as they started the game. And obviously I added a little bit of an animation to that. As you can see, I also worked on the dash animation. I got rid of the particles that existed there in the first place, and it really didn't feel the way I wanted it to feel. You know, for me, that's a big thing. I never know if something looks right, I just know if it feels right. And I'm not sure I'm going to have the same opinions as everyone else about what feels right, but I've been using that as my guiding principle throughout creating this game. This dash animation feels a lot more like the one I had envisioned. It seems more of a fluid, follows the character, shows the path that they went on for the dash, which was important. Now, some people might think I stole this dash from Celeste. That is not true. I stole it from Towerfall Ascension, which is Matt Makes Game's other game, and that's where I ripped off the dash from. So don't be telling me that this game reminds you too much of Celeste, alright? Because this is mostly inspired by Towerfall. I'm just kidding. I also really like Celeste. I recreated an alphabet in Photoshop, which definitely took some time. Definitely something that was unnecessary, just as unnecessary as when I created custom text application script, but it was all cool because, you know, all is part of the learning process. Really, I just took Comic Sans, which I kind of felt the funness of what I'm trying to deliver for the game, and I gave it an outline and also gave it a fill, maybe change up a couple of the letters, and voila, my own custom text. And I wrote a script that would convert a text element into my own custom text element, so I had to replace all my text elements in all of my menus to use my custom text. So that took some time. As you can see, I also added this end screen menu, which I added a little animation for the timer to fall down, and it will also show you how many notes you got out of 3. In this case, I got all 3, so now you also see my animation where the notes are dancing, and that actually reflects the same type of animation I did for the player themselves. In this case, I only got 1 music note, so it only displays 1 music note. It's not dancing, a lot sadder scene. It will also tell you next, which will tell you how to get that next music note, what score you need to get. Haven't decided if this is obvious enough about what next means, but you can let me know in the comments below if you think that this is obvious enough or this is not obvious enough, or any other suggestions. I'm really open to anything. Then I worked on my timeout animation and menu. Everything in this menu is off right now. I think that has to do with my Screen size, that's another thing that's certainly on my list of things to take care of, making sure everything works for different aspect ratios and screen size. Because I actually made my first build this week as well, and the first thing I noticed was that it was not being displayed as I was expecting it to be displayed. So that's going to take some research of how to fix all of that and make it consistent no matter what operating system or how big their screen or window is. So that's certainly on the horizons. Perhaps I'll take care of it next week. But yeah, that's it. That's all I worked on this week. And I really feel, after more than a year of working on this game, I feel like I am almost ready to create my first demo. Not to say that it's going to happen right now, but it seems like it's on the horizons, and it seems very attainable, which it never had before. Things are looking up with this game, and yeah, I'm just really excited to be working on it. All right, thanks for sticking around. If you made it this long, if you have any suggestions or any comments about my game, I'm always ready to read and respond to the comments, and I would love suggestions if you have better ideas of how I can improve or what I'm doing wrong. But yeah, that's all I have for you this week. Catch you in the next one.